Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and we're playing Napoleon Total War. I'm playing as the Swedish army here. Always like bringing these guys. They're not necessarily a power faction. In fact, they may kind of constitute some of the lower rung of the factions that you can bring, but nonetheless, I think they are awesome. So I'm going to be marching out here across some frozen wastelands. I've got some hidden units in reserve here. So my opponent, you'll see, has brought quite the rush build, so I'm going to leave a couple traps, or at least attempt to. So these are going to be Jaegers hidden in the forest. And then over on this flank here, I have more Jaegers. And basically, Jaegers are going to be my initial screening force to hide, or at least suppress, the enemy before my line infantry move up. So you can see clusters hidden here. So I have rather large cluster on the left, column moving in swift, formation up through the center. They're going to be the first to engage with the enemy, hopefully. And they're supposed to be on quick response to attack the left or the right. These guys are going to be told to seize the hill. My general is actually going to be leading this push. Definitely looking awesome. So what are we going to be rushing up against? Well, my opponent is going to be playing as the Ottomans, and he has brought a lot of these Samit Janissaries. Nizam-e-Jadid is going to be in the sort of the rear ranks, but most of his force is going to be a lot of these swordsman units. So didn't quite expect that coming into it. I knew he'd have, certainly some swords units, but not quite in the numbers that he ended up bringing. And they're going to be told to kind of all-out charge. We can watch some of his guys, the sun streaming down as they make their approach. So one detachment going up here. Bashi Bazooks are going to be in the rear. They're already very tired, mostly probably because they're in the snow, and the Ottomans, I think they get debuffs in the snow. In any case, he's going to be running them all the way up to my line. So one approach coming in through here. Another huge push of units coming through here. So I'm going to have to start forming up in defense. You can see my lines here holding back in a staggered approach. This is going to be the best way to defend against an infantry rush. So already we're going to start to unleash some volleys and then retreat. The enemy is there, formed up in huge ranks. I'm going to start deploying a bit of a concave formation, get my guys up. So line infantry pushing there. Jaeger is going to be pulling back up. No engagements on the left just yet. Let's watch this here. Militia are in my front lines. I just want my basically cheap pickets to start getting the first volleys off here. Up in the woods there, I have some line infantry going to be firing. Yeah, the enemy line is going to be just tanking losses right through here. We can watch it from their perspective as they try and charge my hilltop position. So definitely very brave of them. Their officers urging the men on. And all they're going to see is the tailcoats of my men continuing to get some volleys off. Some more accurate shots coming in here. I'm actually getting a little bit of friendly fire against my own forces. The Jaegers here being a bit indiscriminate in their volleys. Basically meant to suppress this. I'm pulling back on this side as well. This is going to be the main enemy thrust. He is nicely clumped up. So he's going to be able to force me back, but this is exactly the plan. Almost Russian of me to pull the enemy back into the snowy terrain and wait for them to basically extinguish themselves due to exhaustion and the cold. So there we go. They're going to crash quickly up into the front lines, or so they think. I'm going to continue to pull back, and now here's going to be the real crux of my infantry. So far they've been receiving volley fire from militia units, and now they're going to receive it from cracked line infantry. Going to be unleashing, especially at point blank range. So here comes the charge. Looks like only the first couple men. Nope, they don't even get to strike my guys. So broke one. My general is going to be landing some strikes in the rear. With their sabers brandished, they're going to start to try and engage with my guys. I'm going to start to cut through them. I'm going to quickly pull back. Jaegers as well being chased all down the front. Similar stories happening here. And yeah, they're going to start breaking before they can even hit my line. So another unit here, line infantry, fresh, retreating back. We're able to crush this flank as well, pulling the enemy in, and now my Jaegers are in a perfect flanking position. All down the line, you can see my units pulling back. The enemy charging bravely forward, but then calling it quits as they fall back. You can see I had another line prepared, so defense in depth, definitely doing well. Up here, where the enemy was finally engaged with my men, they must have been relieved, and then all of a sudden, just completely caught in chaos as my general charged in from the rear. So a lot of mixed feelings from the enemy. Almost a World War I type tactic where they charge unsupported against enemy lines across the no man's land and get absolutely destroyed. So you can watch these units face, slaughter. In the back here, these line infantry, they're even tired in the snow and they haven't really advanced. Definitely the Ottomans, I think, are suffering some sort of penalties. Anyways, this is going to be the core of his line infantry, going to be pushing up. And they're going to kind of hold that position. Meanwhile, my assault is going to be pressed forward. The bulk of this force is now going to try and pull back. Some of them are going to rally, but I'm going to be chasing them rather effectively, led by my general as well. So the Swedish force is definitely not, afraid of a fight here. And this is going to end up breaking these forces. Definitely glorious. My guy is now coming in. This unit shattered. This unit basically still kind of alive. Somehow not resigning their fate to the retreat. They're going to be coming back to charge my guys, but we get a brilliant volley, and the musket effects in this game are absolutely beautiful, especially when you get up close like this. And there goes that force going to be breaking. Even on the melee approach, we're going to be beating them back, and this is going to be with militia units, so definitely awesome. Line infantry going to be doing some casualties to my own men, but that's why I put militia in the front ranks. Jaegers continuing to fire. Target-rich environment, and especially up in this hill, this was a good position to hold. And there's that retreating blob of units. My general there has already achieved 2 experience points. 2 chevrons, that is. And we'll have to take a look at his kills at the end of the battle, because he's been instrumental in achieving these gains. And we continue to get the shots on these guys. So the first wave has been beaten back. I was a little bit ashamed, or didn't want to be, called a coward for retreating in the face of that. But I mean, what are you going to do in melee? Accept that they're going to charge you? No, I'm going to pull back, get the most advantage I could, and then press the assault. So here we're going to return to the assault, to the offensive. It was my initial plan to seize the offensive, but that kind of got bogged down when I got rushed by melee infantry. So now we're going to return to the anticipated offensive. We're going to start lining up on top of this hill. The enemy has not approached, and so this is going to allow me to get a pretty advantageous position with my Jaegers. They're tired at this point from having to reload and shoot so many of the enemy. And now I have the range superiority on my foe. I have the hilltop. And I'm going to just start to rain fire down on them. Unfortunately, there are the woods here, which are going to partially block my fire, so I'm not going to be super effective. Yeah, a couple of them are starting to get their volleys off. But let's see how many of those actually get through. Looks like a couple men are going to start to drop. So like I said, I wanted to seize the offensive, as were the Swedish tactics. At least during the Great Northern War, and so I could have, stood back and slowly chipped away at his force from a distance, but that wasn't going to be my style. I was decided to go at this with some glory, and so here comes the entire Swedish line, gloriously marching forward. Let's get a nice pan on this. There come my lines. The nice cadence, advancing, drums, beating. My Jaegers at the top are going to continue to get some suppressing fire, and we're going to move up into position. Just starting to seize that terrain up there. His lines are going to open up. So finally getting a little bit of retribution against my men. And now, let's watch the armies open fire. So he's going to get the first shot against me, the disadvantage of advancing always. So there you go, getting some nice volleys. All along the line, my militia is pretty severely drained, so they may start breaking. I'm going to bring back some line infantry here just to give some more supporting fire. So I'm deciding to engage in this fight. Looks like my men were already a bit tired and slightly depleted, so he's going to actually start to get the advantage here. But again, like I said, I want to take the advantage here. I didn't want to sit back. My Jaeger is going to be the ones who are going to be sitting back. But look at all these musket shots firing back and forth. The smoke clouds, always an awesome effect on these Napoleon era battlefields. In the back, I'm going to be doing some mopping up operations, but the main push is going to be engaged. Now I've deployed my forces up here. I've captured this little bit of hilltop territory where I'm going to be having my lines open fire against the enemy. I start to have a little bit of outnumbering against them, and so what I decide to do is come in with my general. I wanted to threaten this flank, be able to roll it up, then deploy my infantry up on this hill. And so he's going to be coming back here. Hans Henrik von Eisen. And yeah, I was thinking of throwing him into the rear of this force, but what I decided to do was push a little bit further. And the little delay that I had actually allowed his general to start charging after my guys. But it's going to be enough to start tying these forces down, break up their fire, and then I'm going to attempt to pull out of there. My general is getting charged, so he's going to start losing men. I'm going to open fire into the mix with my units, hoping to hit the enemy forces who are mostly in front of me. And I'm going to attempt to pull out of there with my general. However, the enemy general is going to be hot in pursuit. I'm going to pop some pop some abilities just to help my army in this engagement. I definitely need more troops to come and approach, because you can see here, actually some of his janissaries got into the front ranks. They're going to be tying down my line infantry, so this small little bit of woods, very much to his advantage. And his fire on the flank here actually started to outmatch some of my line infantry that was already depleted, so his fire doing spectacularly well. His Nizam-e-Jadid are dwindling in ranks. He's going to peel off some of them to reinforce this hilltop position. And my general actually is going to be tied up in combat over here. I'm down to 3 men. He's down to just 10, so looks like the odds are going to be in his favor. So in the forest here, yep, my general just died there, so rather unfortunate. That is going to start to have some repercussions on my force. My opponent's going to start seizing the flanks and pushing up through the center. I do have, oh, sorry, there you go. There, my general died. But yeah, my lines are definitely being hard-pressed. The Jaegers being invaluable in this situation, continuing to get some suppressing fire against my opponents. And I wonder if they're actually shooting some of the backs of my men. I can't tell if those are my shots or his shots, but not going super well for me on this flank. He is now partially sitting in the woods. I did have some militia in the front which are meant to absorb enemy fire, but now they're going to all out break and rout. My line infantry is going to continue to exchange fire, so now we have a more traditional match going on here. My opponent's going to start to bring units over to begin to outflank me. My morale is going to start to waver. My units are shaken, so I'm going to attempt to pull out of this position and re-engage in a more favorable area. Here I'm continuing to pull back my units, not allowing him to use his local superiority in the middle with the forest. I'm going to pull back, allow my Jaegers at range to do the damage that they were meant to do. And yeah, now more and more of my guys are going to start to have, you know, feel the fatigue start to hit them. So I'm a little worried about that. I'm going to hold strong in the forest, because this is where I know I have definitely an advantage. So here you can see my guys firing at the opponents. Definitely very epic, and it ended up being more close fought than I would have thought. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. My militia are going to be breaking. They did well for themselves, got a lot of kills, did a fair amount of holding throughout the battle, so that was important. Over in the back over there, still have an engagement with those units in the back. I'm keeping them at a distance, and his lines they've been keeping up continuous fire this whole game, but it looks like they are down to their last line of men. So it's only a matter of time before, you know, their numbers start to dwindle. My own guys are suffering, but now that I've pulled back to range and to advantageous terrain, it's going to be in my advantage. Looks like my opponent is going to be kind of accepting that he needs to do something about this. These guys might also be out of ammo, I'm not quite sure, but they're gonna they're gonna realize the folly of their ways once my units here, who had been holding their fire and reloading, are gonna unleash full volleys against these guys. So you can see them toppling over, and they weren't even able to stop my guys from firing. So there you go, I've broken one unit. That's gonna be a huge hole in his lines. And now this unit is going to find itself isolated. I'm going to come in and reinforce with this line infantry unit. They've been in the back reloading, and now they're going to be here very aggressive. Going to move up to the banks of this hill. Going to get as close as possible. And it looks like now they've been given attack orders. And with these numbers and my favorite should be enough to break this force. So again, trying to bring to life the aggressive Swedish tactics. I did take a bit more losses, would have been unacceptable had this been tied to, you know, a limited man pool on the campaign or whatnot, but I think overall, very fun battle. I'm glad my opponent attacked with that huge melee brawl. You don't see that too often. He definitely paid for it, but at the end it ended up being kind of a more even type fight here. I lost more men than I would have liked, but you know, here I definitely killed more of his guys. He brought 500 more men than I, and I definitely ate him alive in that respect. My general here, 142 kills. Oh, what kind of battle is this? Militia 166, general 142. This is a rare battle when you see that many kills going to inexperienced units. We're supposed to be fodder units, but damn, yeah. So an interesting battle all around. Hope you guys definitely enjoyed. I know I did, and yeah, I hope to see more of these in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.